It can change lives. And I don't say that to be dramatic, but if you really think about it, so many people have to go to a job day in, day out, and they can't be their authentic self for whatever reason. They have to pretend that they're this, or they have to try to fit into this mold. If we can help an organization create a culture where people are just accepted and valued, that could be life-changing.
Welcome to Reward, the podcast of The Trust. We are the show specifically for women entrepreneurs who want to build businesses into the multi-million-dollar revenues and beyond, but especially because we know the reward is much greater than that. I'm Allie Brown, and I'm excited to introduce you to these diverse female leaders from a variety of industries, women making huge impact and who are unwilling to settle for the status quo. On the web, visit jointhetrust.org to learn more about our modern community for forward-thinking 7- and 8-figure women entrepreneurs. That's jointhetrust.org. See you there. Now, get ready to enjoy this episode's powerful conversation. Hi, Rhonda. How are you?
Hello, Allie Brown. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I was thinking, you live in Del Mar. Why am I not out there visiting you and doing this in person?
You absolutely should, because actually I could see the water right from here.
Yeah,
it's
don't want to hear it.
today.
Nope. Although the kids and I spent a lot of time out there this summer, so it was great. We were at the beach, but
you can't go wrong with summertime in Del Mar. It's a great place to live. I'm really fortunate to be
so
here.
Gorgeous. I'm excited to talk to you for many reasons, but the two main ones. One is, I've gotten to know you a bit in the trust, but just from the meetings and a few conversations. So I really am excited to hear more about your background and how you came into this space as the expert you are now. Right. And then second, also, this is a hot topic right now. So the whole DEI conversation, it's on fire, and it's a great time to have this conversation. And especially between two normal, sane people, on what, the purpose of it versus kind of where it's gone, where you see it going. We're hearing all these different perspectives on it now. So I think we could really have a great discussion on that as well. Right. But first, I'd love to hear a bit about how you came into what you do today and how you formed Elevated Diversity.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to share, because it was very much a roundabout kind of scenario where I started in my first job out of school was at an ad agency, a large ad agency in Los Angeles. And up until that point, it's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I have no idea. I totally fell into this role and thought, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. So with marketing, communications, advertising, I spent many years in that space. And I actually, again, fell into the golf industry. So I've worked with brands like Nike Golf, PGA Tour of America, and several other brands. And I, had a good 20 plus year run working in the golf industry. And as you can imagine, I was often the only woman in the room. And inevitably, I was the only woman of color in the room. So it was, I think for many years, I used to think, oh, it doesn't matter. I fit right in. I'm one of the guys. But, in reality, I wasn't one of the guys. I had a totally different upbringing. I had a different perspective. I had a different outlook. So I felt like I learned a lot, but I also learned, hey, this isn't where I want to be permanently. So from there, I ended up, I launched what was called Elevate for Her. And it was a program because of those experiences in the golf industry where I was one of few females. I wanted something where we could offer training programs, professional development programs, specifically for women. And we did that for a couple of years. It went well.
Was that at the ad agency, or you went off on your own to do this?
Yeah, this is my own. Yeah.
Wow.
So I that myself. And then from there, it started to evolve. And again, just like so many business owners, right? It's all about your life experiences. And a lot of it's like, what do I need? What do I feel like there's an opportunity for on a really personal level? So then we launched Elevated Diversity. And I think it's going on 8 years. So we've been doing this for quite some time. But I've seen firsthand how organizations often marginalize some groups, they overlook other groups. And so our big mission is to help organizations, and I always use this word, awareness. It's just like create some awareness to where people say, take a step back and say, oh, maybe we have been running this policy for years and maybe we need to look at it. Maybe it needs to be adjusted. Maybe we need to change how we're recruiting or where we get our recruits from. So that's a lot of where we are today. And we do work for a lot of large organizations, CBS, CDC, Homeland Security, just closed a deal with Zapier, University of California. So we do a lot of work with large organizations, but we also do a lot of work with smaller nonprofits because I feel like this work is so important and so critical. So that's kind of our backstory. I feel great about the deliverable that we offer our clients too, because we've got some incredible subject matter experts and facilitators on our team. So we feel really good about where we are.
It appeared to me as a bystander, of course, starting in 2020 with all the activity of that year, that a lot of people jumped into this space and some of them look like they didn't know that what they were doing. I mean, to the naked eye, and I'm just like an innocent bystander watch it. Suddenly everyone wanted to be working in DEI. I'm an anti-racist. I'm, just all this gamut of materials, programs, platforms came out of nowhere. And there was a bit of a bandwagon for a while. How would you compare, if it's even possible, right? I feel like you guys are elevated.
Okay.
How do you compare to all this stuff that's out there? And do you think now that there's a filtering going on, there's kind of been a shakedown and the real ones are still standing who really do help organizations?
I think there is. And I do, to your point, in 2020, organizations felt that, hey, we have to do something. We have to invest in DEI. We have to prove that we're a diverse organization, we're an inclusive organization, even if they really didn't. And a lot of it was optics, just plain and simple. And I think that was damaging in many ways because they ended up bringing in folks, they started these programs, and then a few years later, they're disbanding those programs and saying, oh, they weren't effective. We don't need this anymore. So that was a problem. And then I also, honestly, I think the approach of some DEI practitioners was all wrong.
Tell me more about that.
I just think that anytime you're talking about race or gender or one's identity, it's an incredibly sensitive topic. And it's one that needs to be approached from a very skilled perspective. And you can't just say one day, oh, I'm a DEI expert. It is something that, just like any other discipline in market, you have to study it, you have to understand it, you need to hone your craft. And I think there was some damage that was done because anytime you go into a situation and start talking about race without really prepping that conversation, a lot of times it can go sideways. So I think we saw a lot of that. I think some organizations got burned. And they had a negative reaction on the part of some of their employees. And I mean, I get it. So that's where, and again, that's where we have always really, I always call it inclusion forward. So we really lean heavy into making sure that everyone is addressed, because I understand I understand what it's like to feel like, oh, this company doesn't care about me. They're not including me on this program, that program. So we've always leaned into that inclusion forward perspective. And for us, I think it's been beneficial, and that's how we've been able to continue to scale our company.
You mentioned in our pre-chat that you're getting pulled into some media interviews on some very current events, including, Harris in the campaign. And I'm going to ask, because I'm hearing this, perspective is, do you feel that she is a DEI hire?
That, I think, is so incredibly insulting on so many levels. And when I first heard it, it almost made me want to cry. And I'll tell you why. Because for so long, whether you're a female or whether you're a person of color, and you start to um, reach these higher positions within an organization or within life, people are like, oh, how did you get here? You must be a diversity hire. So that's telling that person that you're really not qualified. You're just here because of the color of your skin, or you're just here because of your gender. And for these individuals to go on TV and actually put that out on the record, I find it insulting. But number two, I think it's just very I don't understand why anyone would ever say that in the media or even in a personal. But people have their own thoughts and they share that in their home with their friends. But to go out there and say she's a diversity hire, despite the fact that she has all of these accolades, you watch the woman speak and share her story, share what her experiences have been. And of course she's qualified. How could she not be qualified? But to imply that she's not qualified because she's a woman and a woman of color is just beyond upsetting to me. And it just makes me feel like, wow, we've got a lot more work to do. There's a lot more education and awareness that needs to take place.
Yeah, it's interesting that the conversations that are coming up from it, as uncomfortable as they are good, right? Because I think it'll move many things forward. But the only way out is through.
Right.
Right. So this stuff comes up. And so yeah, I'm glad. It'll be interesting to see some of your clips. Will you be sharing those clips online after you've done the interviews? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Be cool to see how you handle. Are you going to be in one of those shows where everyone's like yelling at each other in the boxes, like in the
Oh no, I don't think so.
Okay. Tell me about when these programs go really well, like the ones that you go into a company and establish. Like, what are the possibilities and opportunities that companies experience and see and can expect when these programs are implemented really well by a qualified consultant or team like yours?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, DEI was always designed to connect people, to help people understand that even if we have different backgrounds, different life stories, different life choices, it doesn't matter, that we still can work together and find commonality and find a singular purpose. So the thing that we're most proud of is when we can go into an organization and we have many of those aha moments. And people, to your point, if they feel like, okay, I can talk about this without being fearful that I say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, I think it just makes a huge difference. And I always liken it to years ago. I know when I first started at that ad agency, it was you couldn't talk about religion, you can't talk about politics, and you can't talk about race in the workplace. And we've just totally flipped that on its head, right? So I also always share that in terms of the topic of race, it shouldn't be anything that we feel bad about talking about. I know people often, I can't generalize for everyone, but if you're a person of color, that's just who you are. So why are you shameful to talk about it? Whereas what we call the dominant culture, they sometimes have a problem with it. So when we have these conversations, these sessions, it just normalizes that dialogue in the workplace, and it just helps unite people and connect them at a deeper level. That helps with the collaboration and it helps with the innovation. We all know that there's stat upon stat upon stat that shows that when organizations have a diverse collective of people and diverse background, diversity of thought, all of that good stuff, results are just better. And it makes all the sense in the world to me, even on its surface. And that's part of what I think we still need to work through and educate.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see there are organizations like yours that actually go in and create, verified trainings and programs and all the things I saw on your site that actually are proven and you have the experience.
No, that makes a difference. And like I said, one of the things that I'm most proud about is just the caliber of folks that we have on our team, because it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. And your team's diverse as well, I wanted to mention.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
And that was by design because, and again, I'm pretty transparent where, when we first started, you would look at these DEI agencies and you would go onto their page and you would just see diverse person after diverse person after diverse person, which is fine. But how can you say that you need to have inclusion and diversity of thought and perspective when everyone looks the same? So that was very intentional. The team that we've assembled, it was very much by design because I felt like that was critical, and that's a data point for our clients to say, okay, yeah, they really do believe in inclusion and bringing different perspectives to the table. So thank you for noticing it because again, I think it's important.
I was like, look, there's a white guy. I'm like, this is interesting. It was cool. I'm like, well, that's bring them all in, right? That's the point.
Honestly, what we do is we'll have team meetings and we say, hey, wait a minute, we need to bring in this perspective or this person to share. Are we overlooking something? Are we missing something? So again, very intentional, because we know that's important, because we can overlook things. We can't know everything. I mean, I own a DEI firm and there's things that I don't know. But I'm willing to say, hey, I don't know it, but I'm going to learn more about it, or that's an area that I need to explore so I can educate myself, so I have the right level of awareness. So it's important.
I'd love to go back, if you don't mind, to your ad agency days, because I don't know if you know that was my when I was working for employers in my 20s, that was my favorite job by far. So I worked for a little. I was a copywriter at this little ad agency in New York, and I worked for these Orthodox Jewish guys. Talk about being thrown into a culture. I was the only non-Jewish person there, so I'm learning all about, what their world is, and I'm being brought in, and I had to work on healthcare stuff. But I loved the energy of that ad agency, that fast pace, like, what does the client need? Like, let's be creative. And then there's deadlines and the hustle. What did you love about that? And tell us a little bit more about how, you alluded to the fact that it was kind of taking you in this direction, but what did you work on there and what did you love about it?
I think just like you, it's that, the energy and the creativity. I mean, what other place can you work where you've got just these incredibly competent creative thinkers? And I just loved it. I worked at, FCB. My account was Universal Studios, so it was fun.
Oh, wow.
They had
That's a fun
budget. They had a huge budget. We did lots of commercial shoots and outdoor boards that were just incredible. So it was a lot of fun, and I think being able to manage and operate in that kind of deadline driven environment is something that I use today as a business owner, right? Just being able to keep your cool, keep moving forward, multitasking, having a million things go on at one time. And those are all skills that I utilize every single day as a business owner. So,
yeah, it's a crazy environment though, too. There's like crazy people in that world.
Sometimes.
but
Yeah,
it's
sometimes.
it was fun, you know,
Yeah.
it was fun. And then but what took you in the direction of what you do now when you were at that ad agency?
So after the ad agency, I went to work. That's when I worked in golf.
Okay,
So
got it.
different accounts and different projects, and spending a lot of time in that arena. Slightly different, but I was always in a marketing comms capacity there. So I really enjoyed that too. Being able to, again, um, take a look at a problem and like what are those solutions, how are we going to move this product, how are we going to sell this service, finding those creative ways to solve those issues and get a product out there, I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Do you have a secret hobby or something we don't know about you in the trust? Is there something we don't know about you yet?
No, I mean, I'm sure there is, but hobby, no. And I was just reading an article last week that said the benefits of having a hobby. So I really do need to get a hobby. Right now, my hobby is my job. It's
Yeah.
very consuming. I mean, quite honestly, it really is, because especially where we are today, with DEI, it's been interesting to find ways to continue to move the brand forward despite having some of these challenges and
Yeah.
despite that climate that we're currently working in. With that said, our current clients are like, no, we're moving forward, DEI, we're all about it. Some of them are changing some of the language that they're using, but their commitment is still authentic and it's still there. So I very much appreciate that. But yeah, that for me is my primary focus.
Yeah. What do you wish people knew about the power of what you do?
I think it can change lives. And I don't say that to be dramatic, but if you really think about it, so many people have to go to a job day in, day out, and they can't be their authentic self for whatever reason. They have to pretend that they're this, or they have to try to fit into this mold. If we can help an organization create a culture where people are just accepted and valued, that could be life changing, right? So instead of having the Sunday scaries, as they call it, they wake up and say, I'm going to work today. I'm going to have a good day because I enjoy the culture that's been created. I feel valued. I feel respected. It could be life changing, really.
Hmm. And you've seen it firsthand and you've
Absolutely.
experienced it firsthand yourself,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, Rhonda, you've such a vast business experience, and you're obviously well connected, you know, in what you do. These incredible clients and people around you. You know, why did you decide to join the trust?
That's a great question. And I have a very simple response. I think as a woman, I have always been drawn to strong women, strong, successful women. Even as a child, I had these female role models, and it's like, one day I'm going to do something big with my life. And to be able to join a group where each and every woman in there is a powerhouse was incredible. And um, quite honestly, and I'm not just saying this, I've never been around so many women that were so driven and so incredibly successful, that I needed to feed off of that energy. I needed to be in that environment and kind of soak it up, because there are days when, as a business owner, and you're doing your thing, it gets tough. It's rough. So being able to belong to a group where I get inspired and I get energized is important. And then the other thing, and this happened just last week, where I had a dire need for an IT person because we had an issue, And I went out to the trust and I said, hey, does anybody know this XYZ? I need help. Within literally 5 minutes, I had a response and I had a solution. So
I love it.
that's gold, right? That saved me time. I had a vendor that was vetted, and it was just a great resource that I was able to leverage. So,
Well,
and I
I
loved
love it.
hanging out with you, Allie Brown.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm pretty cool,
Yes, you
Um,
are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We love the perspective that you bring. And I think one of the things I'm most proud of the trust is the natural diversity we've attracted to our group. I mean, everything from type of business to cultural background to, I mean, just everything. And you bring the DEI perspective, you bring your background and what you do, you bring a whole different way that you work with clients that we learn from. That is the coolest. And I still haven't seen another group like this. So thank you for all the contributions that you've made.
Yeah. And I've looked and, I just haven't come across a group, that even came close to what I was looking for and met some of those needs and objectives that I had. And that, played a major role in me saying, yeah, I've got to be part of this team.
I love it. So, Rhonda, what is the reward in all this for you?
What is the reward? My reward is and it's interesting because I grew up, family didn't have a lot of money, but I just always knew I was going to do something with my life. So first generation college grad, went on to get a master's, opened a business. So for me, the reward is that I'm in charge of my own destiny. I decide where I'm going to go. I decide what my life is going to look like. So that's the biggest reward. And it isn't always tied to money. That's not it. But for me, just to feel like, okay, I don't have to rely on a boss or I don't have to rely on a spouse. I rely on myself and I'm controlling the trajectory of where I go. So that's my reward.
I love that. Were you always very freedom focused when you were young?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What kind of kid were you?
Well, I was always, my mom was like, you're never satisfied. It's never good enough for you. And it's so funny because I hear that in my head and it's like, nope, never satisfied. So I just keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
And just, I think it's a good driver. It's, you have to keep it in moderation and maybe one day I will get a hobby. But I think it's been a good, and it's just how I'm hardwired. So.
Yeah. Well, one thing I could tell is that you love what you do. So you get a pass with the hobby question that came out of left field. So when it's evident you love what you do, when you talk about what you do, you light up, you come in the door at our meetings just sharing some incredible things. And it's just been an honor to have you. So tell everyone where they could learn more about your company and where they can follow you.
Absolutely. So I am, I don't do the social media. So I'm not like on Instagram, like many folks are. I'm very much all business. So you can find me on LinkedIn. And then our website is elevateddiversity.com. So
I love it. Enjoy not being on a lot of social. Just enjoy that. Enjoy your privacy. Enjoy. Yeah.
Decision. It's like, I don't think we want to go there. So we decided not to add that to our.
And one day when you have hobbies, maybe we'll see you on Instagram with like some photos or something.
Perhaps candle making
or not.
Pottery.
Or not.
Maybe.
Maybe you'll quietly disappear. All right, Rhonda, thanks for joining us, and everyone will be following what you do. And we'll definitely be, I hope you're milking the media right now. It's prime time for this topic. So we're looking forward to seeing all your interviews. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Allie. Enjoyed talking to you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Subscribe now to the Reward Podcast to be sure to not miss an episode. And don't forget to visit jointhetrust.org to learn more about our modern community for forward-thinking 7- and 8-figure women entrepreneurs. You can learn more, apply to join us, or refer another woman you know who is over the $1 million mark and is ready for a different type of women's network. We have events coming up both live and online that are truly creating new possibilities for female leaders. That's jointhetrust.org. See you there.